Warning: the following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready?
Hi everybody, it's Jeff. A lot of stuff here to talk about, so I'm just going to hop right into it here. There's a story here from the New York Times, and it's about Trump in his criminal case here that he's going through, and it's titled "Stormy Daniels, who testified about sex with Trump, will return to stand." The porn star at the center of the ex-president's criminal trial, who will testify again on Thursday, spoke under oath about their encounter at a golf tournament in 2006, a meeting that could shape American history. When Donald Trump met Stormy Daniels, their flirtation seemed fleeting. He was a 60-year-old married mogul at the peak of reality television fame, and she was 27, a Louisiana native, raised in poverty and headed to porn film stardom. But that chance encounter in Lake Tahoe, Nevada, some 20 years ago, was now at the center of the first criminal trial of an American president, an unprecedented case that could shape the 2024 presidential race. This week, Miss Daniels has been on the witness stand telling her side of the story, often in explicit detail. She has already faced 5 hours of questioning, and after the trial's midweek hiatus, she is expected to return on Thursday to undergo additional cross-examination from Mr. Trump's legal team. The charges against Mr. Trump stem from her story of sex with him during that 2006 celebrity golf tournament in Lake Tahoe, a story she was shopping a decade later in the closing days of the presidential campaign. Mr. Trump's longtime lawyer and fixer, Michael Cohen, said he paid Miss Daniels $130,000 in hush money before Election Day, and the former president is accused of falsifying business records to cover up reimbursements for Mr. Cohen. On Tuesday, Ms. Daniels' fast-paced testimony lasted nearly 5 hours, during which she described an encounter with Mr. Trump, now 77, that he has long denied. Tension gripped the courtroom, her voluble testimony filling a heavy silence. She made jokes they did not land. After about a half hour on the stand, she began to unspool intimate details about Trump, so much that the judge balked at some of the testimony. He implied it was gratuitously vulgar, and the defense sought a mistrial. Miss Daniels said the future president had invited her to dinner inside his palatial Lake Tahoe hotel suite. He answered the door wearing silk pajamas. When he was rude, she playfully spanked him with a rolled-up magazine, and when she asked about his wife, he told her not to worry, saying that they didn't even sleep in the same room, prompting Mr. Trump to shake his head in disgust and mutter bullshit to his lawyers loud enough that it drew a private rebuke from the judge, who called it contemptuous. Miss Daniels then recounted the sex itself in graphic detail. It happened, she said, after she returned from the bathroom and found Mr. Trump in his boxer shorts and t-shirt. She tried to leave, and he blocked her path, though not, she said, in a threatening manner. The sex was brief, she said, and although she never said no, there was a power imbalance. Quote, "I was staring up at the ceiling, wondering how I got there," unquote. She told the jury, adding that Mr. Trump did not wear a condom. The testimony was an astonishing moment in American political history and a crowning spectacle in a trial full of them. A porn star across from a former and potentially future president telling the world that she was once paid to keep quiet about. Ms. Daniels now 45, has told her story widely to prosecutors, reporters, her friends in a book, but never to jurors, and not with Mr. Trump in the room. Her appearance on the stand appeared to unnerve Mr. Trump as she aired his dirty laundry under oath in mortifying detail. But Ms. Daniels' story is not just a sordid kiss and tell tale. It spotlights what prosecutors say was Mr. Trump's criminality. He is accused of engineering the false business records scheme to cover up all traces of their tryst. The hush money, the repayment to Mr. Cohen, and yes, the sex. While the defense cast the testimony as a smear, Ms. Daniels provided prosecutors with some useful details. She established the fundamental story of her encounter with Mr. Trump, and she testified that she could have told the same uncomfortable tale in 2016 had she not taken the hush money from Mr. Trump's fixer. But her testimony at times seemed problematic for the prosecutors who had called her. Ms. Daniels testified that money was not her motivation and that she wanted to get her story out. That could draw skepticism from jurors who have heard that she accepted the $130,000 and in exchange did not tell her story for more than a year. Quote, "My motivation wasn't money," unquote, she said. Quote, "It was motivated out of fear, not money," unquote. The jury also saw the judge, Juan M. Merchan, scold Ms. Daniels at least twice, instructing her to stick to the questions asked of her. At one point, he even issued his own objection, interrupting her testimony as she began to describe the sexual position she and Mr. Trump assumed. Justice Merchan, generally a stoic presence with a tight grip over his courtroom, showed rare exasperation as the testimony veered into a scurrilous direction and the trial took on a circus-like atmosphere. He also asked Miss Daniels to slow down. She was a rapid-fire talker, prone to laughter and lengthy asides. Outside the jury's presence, the judge said that, quote, "There were some things better left unsaid," unquote, in her testimony and suggested that Miss Daniels might have, quote, "credibility issues," unquote. Yet he rejected defense's bid for a mistrial, instead inviting Mr. Trump's lawyers to mount an aggressive questioning of Ms. Daniels. Quote, "The more times this story has changed, the more fodder for cross-examination," unquote, he said. Susan Nichols, the Trump lawyer who led the cross-examination, heeded the judge's advice. She painted Ms. Daniels as a lying opportunist. She unearthed excerpts from Ms. Daniels' book to suggest that her story had changed over time, and in a potentially troublesome moment for Ms. Daniels, Ms. Nichols implied that she had fabricated an account of a Trump supporter threatening her and her daughter in a Las Vegas parking lot, a story she did not share with her baby's father. Quote, "Your daughter's life was in jeopardy and you did not tell her father, right?" unquote, Ms. Nichols asked, the implication being that the story was phony. Ms. Daniels was an indigent, and during some cross-examination, she parried effectively, performing even better than she did with her answers to prosecutors. Her testimony brought full circle one of the earliest scandals that loomed over Mr. Trump's presidency ever since the Wall Street Journal broke the news 6 years ago that Mr. Cohen had paid her to keep quiet. Her story has changed the course of American politics and laid the groundwork for the case. Okay, now this goes on, but time here, crunch time. Why am I reading this? Okay, because it's just bullshit testimony, really, that even the judge was getting tired of hearing about. Because people, this trial is going to be the only trial we're going to hear between now and Election Day, and the reason for that is also here in this story. Judge in Trump's classified documents case cancels May trial date. No new date is set. This is from the AP by Eric Tucker. The federal judge in Florida presiding over the classified documents prosecution of former President Donald Trump has canceled the May 20 trial date, postponing it indefinitely. The order from U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon has been expected in light of still unresolved issues in the case and because Trump is currently on trial in a separate case in Manhattan charging him in connection with hush money payments during the 2016 presidential election. The New York case involves several of the same lawyers representing him in the federal case in Florida. Cannon said in a 5-page order Tuesday that it would be, quote-unquote, imprudent to finalize a new trial date, now casting further doubt on federal prosecutors' ability to bring Trump to trial before the November presidential election. Trump faces dozens of felony counts accusing him of illegally hoarding at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, Florida, classified documents that he took with him after he left the White House in 2021, and then obstructing the FBI's efforts to get them back. He has pleaded not guilty and denied wrongdoing. Trump faces 4 criminal cases as he seeks to reclaim the White House, but outside of the New York prosecution, it's not clear that any of these other 3 will reach trial before election. You see what's going on here? The more important cases, this hush money trial thing is just, to me, is not even that important as far as I'm concerned. Okay, paying hush money to this one and that one, nobody really sees that as a crime. And you know, in all honesty, the people on the street don't even see why paying somebody to shut up would be a crime. Okay, because that's all they know of it. Okay, but you know, you have to understand why it's a crime. Okay, and that means you're going to have to dig deeper into the trial to get that information. But as long as they sideshow this thing with Stormy Daniels and her sexcapade with fucking Donald Trump, okay, that she had in 2006, 18 fucking years ago, okay, which over time she's, you know, embellished the story quite a bit. You know, why even bring that up in court if there's no cameras around to get this? You know, I mean, it's like nobody wants to hear about, you know, what his penis looked like or what he was wearing when he was answering the door or you know, him trying to screw her while they were having dinner. You know, nobody wants to hear that because that doesn't have anything to do with exchanging money to commit a crime. Okay? All it is focusing everything on Stormy Daniels, and frankly, her credibility and her, you know, people might admire her for her balls to take on Trump, but nobody really looks at her as a serious person. Okay, you know what I'm saying? She's not like a person that, you know, it's like say like a judge in the Supreme Court, you know, that's got testimony to, you know, she's not like that caliber of a person. She's a person that's out to get attention. Okay? And that's the way she's portrayed herself over the last 7-8 years. Okay, so by this time here, now that she's in court testifying, it's like, you know, even the judge is telling her, will you please bottle the act, okay? Please. You know, just stick to the answers to the questions given. You don't give us any lengthy, you know, how he was jerking off while he was looking at you and all this other shit. Nobody wants, that's sidetracking from the answer to the question here, that we're trying to get to the core of the facts. Okay? So this trial here is a bullshit trial, and I knew this was going to happen. I fucking knew this was going to happen. When they mentioned that they were going to bring her to the stand, it was going to devolve everything, the seriousness. I know, and I swear on a stack of Bibles, I know that the people, the maggots out there that support him, do not give a shit about this trial. They don't care. To them, it's just a witch hunt because, you know, they're not seeing this on television, for one thing, which was the first big mistake that they made, is not televising this. The second big mistake was putting her on the stand on this thing, okay? Because she can't keep to the fucking point. She's got to run her mouth about all these other things that went on that have nothing to do with the fucking issue at hand, okay? So she's ruining this case, and this is going to be the only criminal trial that we're going to see here until November, okay? When we should have started with the case in Florida, the national secrets that he stole, that should have been the #1 case to start this fucking year, not this other thing. This should have been the more important case. They should have prosecuted him on that, because that's more important. That involves our national security. What's more important than our national security? I mean, the hush money thing is not a fucking national security fucking issue here, okay? That's just Trump being Trump. Okay, but when you're putting everybody, 350 million people on the line as a president, that's fucking national security. That's #1. That should be the fucking trial that we should be hearing about right now. Okay, and the fact that Eileen goddamn Cannon, loose cannon, was able to shut that down and say, I don't know when I'm going to schedule this thing back. Okay, Having her do that and get away with it, that frankly is basically abusing her power as a judge, okay? Because that's an issue that needs to be dealt with before the election. We don't want this fucking guy as president if he's got that on his fucking shoulders. If he broke laws like that, you have to settle this fucking mess first. Okay, because if he becomes president, guess what? He can shut all these investigations down, kill all the fucking trials as president, and there's no law that says he can't do it. Okay, people can bitch and complain all they want about it, but he can't. He's not stopped from doing that as a president. He can shut down anything to do it in the justice system. He will override all of it and exonerate himself. He can do that too. Okay? He could do that too. And so that's why he's been playing this delay game all this fucking time, all these months. He's been pushing things up to, because he knows he can't win any of these cases. He knows that he'll be found guilty. But if he can just make it to the fucking finish line on November and win that fucking election, then all bets are off. Everything is going to be a brave new world for him, because he can change it all and erase everything as if nothing ever happened. Okay, while he was president. Okay, that right there, my friends, is, why, I'm pissed off right now. Why? Because when I heard that judge, of course, everybody's saying, well, we knew this was going to happen. Yeah, maybe, but I figured, the importance of knowing, whether, him breaking laws about national fucking security. I mean, everybody in America is always concerned about national security. Isn't that what's driving the border issue, for Christ's sake? People are saying, oh, we got terrorists coming across the goddamn border. We got drug addicts and criminals that are coming over here. Well, that's a national security problem, so I guess that means national security is a big issue to you, isn't it? I mean, it should be. Here we got a goddamn an ex-president here who stole fucking national security secrets with him when he walked out of the fucking White House, and he stacked it up in his bathroom. Okay? Why isn't anybody upset about that? Okay? Like I said, I don't understand why the fuck that people, that are into this trying to get him held accountable for this, okay, are not pushing to hold him accountable for this. I mean, it's just, get out there. People need to, marching for Israel. Okay, that's one thing. Why don't we start marching against the justice system in this country and get people out there to fucking push the goddamn system to do what it's supposed to do, what it's meant to be doing. Prosecuting criminals. That's what it's for. Trump's a goddamn criminal. He's got so much crime under him, there ain't enough courts in this fucking country to deal with the shit that he's done, okay? He's the worst fucking president this country ever had, okay? And there's a quarter of the country wants to see him back in office, okay? Fuck them. Fuck them and their fucking greed and their fucking, impudence, okay, that they want to put this son of a bitch back in there. I feel like, it's like we're living in a bizarro world, okay? The things that are supposed to be in place to prevent injustice in this country are gone. Where is it gone? Where has it all gone? Our justice system sucks, my friends. They want to say, oh, Trump's been mistreated, he's being abused, but if you say that, I'm going to shoot you. I mean, honestly, I feel like you guys, you listen too much to the wrong people. They are leading you by the nose, like you got a ring in your nose. They got a chain attached to it, and they're just yanking you along, yanking your fucking chain all the way down the fucking river. Okay? He's being given more fucking escape, get out of jail free cards while he's been going on trial here. How many fucking times have been found in contempt of court? More than 11 times now. More than fucking 11 times, because he ran his mouth off in court and the judge got pissed about that. How many more, if I did it just one time, okay, you wouldn't have seen me in the court again. I'd be sitting in the lockup. But he can do it over and over and over, and the judges are,
oh, yeah, you do it one more time, Mr. Trump, just one more time, and I'm gonna get you.
And they don't do it. Okay? These weak fucking judges, okay? And why are they afraid of him? If Stormy Daniels, of all people, can get on a stand and say the most disgusting things about Trump, and she's not afraid. When she says, "Oh, in fear," she was never afraid of this fucker. She knows what he is, okay? Why is she the only one that's got balls to run her mouth about Trump and not worry about anything he might do to her? But you got judges, you got lawyers, you got businessmen, you got all kinds of people all around the country saying, "Oh, I don't want to do anything that's gonna screw him." Nobody wants to say anything bad about him. Christ, you got people that won't even answer a question like, if we have the election and Trump loses, are you going to accept that thing? They won't even answer that question. They're so afraid to say something to answer that because of Trump. Why? Why are you so fucking afraid of this cocksucker? I mean, if Stormy Daniels can stand up to him, why the fuck can't you? I don't know. I'm really pissed off. And I feel like, this is something here that, I guess I should have expected it, but because everything else has been going on, my attention was not given onto this thing that, was going to be decided in Florida here. But having her, of all people, okay, loose cannon, essentially delay this thing for indefinitely, okay? She has no idea. She's, "Oh, I got so many other things." This isn't the most important thing on your fucking desk. This is the one thing that's going to put you in the history books. This one case right here. Your name is going to be forever attached to Donald Trump on this matter right here. No matter anything else you do in your career, this is going to be how people will remember you. And if you screw this up, people are going to either bury you or raise you based on your decision, on what you did. Now she's made her choice. Okay? She's standing with Trump. She's basically told everybody, "I'm backing Trump," and that means I'm not going to do anything that's going to hurt his chances to be president. Okay? Who's going to care after, if he loses, what he did wrong? Okay? He's an old man. He could die any fucking day. It's just, like I said, who's going to care? But it's going to matter now. Because now we're coming up, we got 6 months away from a fucking election, and now everybody's pulling back putting the guns down, so to speak. Okay, everybody's stepping back. And, it's like, "Oh, we'll just let the public decide his fate." That's not what an election is for. It's not to cast judgment or punishment on people who do wrong, because the justice system won't do it. That's not what the vote is supposed to be for. Don't put it on our backs whether or not he should be president, or whether he should be punished and never be president. Okay, that's your job. You're the fucking justice system. You're the judge, jury, lawyers. That's what you people are there for. We're not supposed to be stuck with the fact of choosing the devil or a saint to be sitting in the White House. Okay, and leave it up to us to make sure we kick the devil out. Okay, that's not, you're taking the whole system of an election and you're turning it on its head. Okay, that's supposed to be to pick people to lead our country, not to select the one that needs to be punished because they did wrong and shouldn't be the leader, leaving us just one choice. But that's what our justice system is doing. They're shoving this on our laps, putting it on us to decide. Well, guess what? You got people out there that want to see him president, okay? That want to see him back in office. So what does that tell you right there? You got the lawless up against the people who respect the law. Is that the way our justice system is supposed to work? Where we say, like what they did with Jesus. Okay, all those who want to, let the, Barabbas free, raise your hand, and all those who want Jesus crucified. Is that the way we do this now? Let the public decide? Leave it up to the masses? Come on. I mean, what's the point of having a justice system if this is the way you're going to treat people who do wrong in this country? Come on. Let's go to a break.
Watch this. This is me.
This is me.
This is me!
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This
is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Might not want to show too much of the bottom part there, but without too many curse words here, sir. What are your thoughts?
I don't have friends. I don't have family.
He's honest. He cares about kids. He cares about guns. He cares about our country.
Trump is mean.
Right now, my rights are being denied by the FBI.
I'm a proud Polish person.
He tells the truth, never lies.
I'm old. You can see I'm old. I'm older.
We need to get down on our hands and knees and pray for this man to get into office.
Trump has a big mouth. We all have big mouths. Right, people? Trump! Trump! Trump!
His Christian values that he stands for,
We love Trump! We love Trump! We love Trump!
but definitely not woke, definitely not anything about any of that type of mentality.
Evil's taken over. Good needs to overcome the evil, and Donald Trump is going to do it.
King Jesus first and then King Trump.
And China. Put an end to it.
It's my birthday weekend.
The left and the rhinos, the globalists.
They kill them all. Kill them all.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, there's this other article here that, you know, I was just nosing through today, and I came up on when I was looking up things about AI. And then this article popped up here, and it was, I think it was originally published in 23, last year, December, but they have sort of like an update here that was published on April this year. But anyway, I wanted to read this because, you know, this is something that's being used right now by Israel in their campaign here in Gaza. And this is in a place called Plus 972 magazine, excuse me. And it's written by Yuval Abraham. It's called Lavender, the AI machine that's directing Israel's bombing spree in Gaza. The Israeli army has marked tens of thousands of Gazans as suspects for assassination using an AI targeting system with little human oversight and a permissive policy for casualties. Plus 972 and Local Call reveal. In 2021, a book titled, quote, The Human Machine Team, How to Create Synergy Between Human and Artificial Intelligence That Will Revolutionize Our World, unquote, was released in English under the pen name, quote, Brigadier General Y.S., unquote. In it, the author, a man who we confirm to be the current commander of the elite Israel intelligence unit 8200, makes the case for designing a special machine that could rapidly process massive amounts of data to generate thousands of potential targets for military strikes in the heat of a war. Such technology, he writes, would resolve what he described as a, quote, human bottleneck for both locating the new targets and decision-making to approve those targets, unquote. Such a machine, it turns out, actually exists. A new investigation by Plus 972 magazine and Local Call reveals that the Israel Army has developed an artificial intelligence-based program known as, quote-unquote, Lavender, unveiled here for the first time. According to 6 Israel intelligence officers who have all served in the Army during the current war on the Gaza Strip and had first-hand involvement with the use of AI to generate targets for assassination, Lavender has played a central role in the unprecedented bombing of Palestinians, especially during the early stages of the war. In fact, according to the sources, its influence on the military's operations was such that they essentially treated the outposts of the AI machine, quote, as if it were a human decision, unquote. Formally, the Lavender system is designed to mark all suspected operatives in the military wings of Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad, including low-ranking ones, as potential bombing targets, the sources told Plus 972 and Local Call that. During the first weeks of the war, the Army almost completely relied on Lavender, which clocked as many as 37,000 Palestinians as suspected militants and their homes for possible air strikes. During the early stages of the war, the Army gave sweeping approval for officers to adopt Lavender's kill lists, with no requirement to thoroughly check why the machine made those choices or to examine the raw intelligence data on which they were based. One source stated that human personnel often served only as a quote-unquote rubber stamp for the machine's decisions, adding that normally they would personally devote only about quote, 20 seconds, unquote, to each target before authorizing a bombing, just to make sure the Lavender marked target is male. This was despite knowing that the system makes what are regarded as quote-unquote errors in approximately 10% of the cases and is known to occasionally mark individuals who have merely a loose connection to militant groups or no connection at all. Moreover, the Israel Army systematically attacked the targeted individuals while they were in their homes, usually at night while their whole families were present, rather than during the course of military activity. According to the sources, this was because from what they regarded as an intelligence standpoint, it was easier to locate the individuals in their private houses. Additional automated systems, including one called, quote, Where's Daddy, unquote, also revealed here for the first time were used specifically to track the targeted individuals and carry out bombings when they had entered their family's residence. The result, as the sources testified, is that thousands of Palestinians, most of them women and children or people who were not involved in the fighting, were wiped out by Israel airstrikes, especially during the first weeks of the war, because of the AI program's decisions. Quote, "We were not interested in killing Hamas operatives only when they were in a military building or engaged in a military activity," unquote. An intelligence officer told Plus 972 and Local Call, quote, "On the contrary, the IDF bombed them in homes without hesitation as a first option. It's much easier to bomb a family's home. The system is built to look for them in these situations," unquote. The Lavender machine joins another AI system, quote unquote, the Gospel, about which information was revealed in a previous investigation by Plus 972 and Local Call in November of last year, as well as in the Israel military's own publications. A fundamental difference between the two systems is in the definition of the target, whereas the Gospel marks buildings and structures that the Army claims militants operate from. Lavender actually marks people and puts them on a kill list. In addition, according to the sources, when it came to targeting alleged junior militants marked by Lavender, the Army preferred to only use unguided missiles, commonly known as dumb bombs, in contrast to smart precision bombs, which can destroy entire buildings on top of their occupants and cause significant casualties. Quote, "You don't want to waste expensive bombs on unimportant people. It's very expensive for the country, and there's a shortage of these bombs," said C, one of the intelligence officers. Another source said that they had personally authorized the bombing of, quote-unquote, hundreds of private homes of alleged junior operatives marked by Lavender, with many of these attacks killing civilians and entire families as collateral damage. In an unprecedented move, according to two of the sources, the Army also decided during the first weeks of the war that for every junior Hamas operative that Lavender marked, it was permissible to kill up to 15 or 20 civilians. In the past, the military did not authorize any collateral damage during assassinations of low-ranking militants. The sources added that in the event that the target was a senior Hamas official with the rank of battalion or brigade commander, the Army on several occasions authorized the killing of more than 100 civilians in the assassination of just a single commander. The following investigation is organized according to 6 chronological stages of the Israel Army's highly automated target production in the early weeks of the Gaza war. First, we explain the Lavender machine itself, which marked tens of thousands of Palestinians using AI. Second, we reveal the Where's the Daddy system, which tracked these targets and signaled to the Army when they entered their families' homes. Third, we describe how dumb bombs were chosen to strike those homes. Fourth, we explain how the Army loosened the permitted number of civilians who could be killed during the bombing of a target. Fifth, we note how automated software inaccurately calculated the amount of non-combatants in each household. And sixth, we show how on several occasions, when a home was struck, usually at night, the individual target was sometimes not inside at all because military officers did not verify that information in real time. In the Israel Army, the term human target referred in the past to a senior military operative who, according to the rules of the military's International Law Department, can be killed in their private home even if they are civilians around. Intelligence sources told 972 and Local Call that during Israel's previous wars, since this was an, quote, especially brutal, unquote, way to kill someone, often by killing an entire family along with the target, such human targets were marked very carefully, and only senior military commanders were bombed in their homes to maintain the principle of proportionality under international law. But after October the 7th, when Hamas-led militants launched a deadly assault on southern Israel communities, killing around 1,200 people and abducting 240, the Army, the sources said, took a dramatically different approach under Operation Iron Swords. The Army decided to designate all operatives of Hamas's military wing as human targets, regardless of their rank or military importance, and that changed everything. The new policy also posed a technical problem for Israel intelligence in previous wars in order to authorize the assassination of a single human target. An officer had to go through a complex and lengthy quote-unquote incrimination process, cross-check evidence that the person was indeed a senior member of Hamas military wing, find out where he lived, his contact information, and finally know when he was home in real time. When the list of targets numbered only a few dozen senior operatives, intelligence personnel could individually handle the work involved in incriminating and locating them. However, once the list was expanded to include tens of thousands of lower-ranking operatives, the Israel Army figured it had to rely on automated software and artificial intelligence. The result, the sources testify, was that the role of human personnel in incriminating Palestinians as military operatives was pushed aside, and AI did most of the work instead. According to 4 of the sources who spoke to 972 in local call, Lavender, which was developed to create human targets in the current war, has marked some 37,000 Palestinians as suspected Hamas militants, most of them junior, for assassination. The IDF spokesman denied the existence of such a kill list in a statement to 972 in local call. Quote, "We didn't know who the junior operatives were because Israel didn't track them routinely before the war," unquote, explained the senior officer B to 972 in local call, illuminating the reason behind the development of this particular target machine for the current war. Quote, "They wanted to allow us to attack the junior operatives automatically. That's the holy grail. Once you go automatic, target generation goes crazy," unquote. The sources said that the approval to automatically adopt Lavender kill lists, which had previously been used only as an auxiliary tool, was granted about 2 weeks into the war after intelligence personnel, quote unquote, manually checked the accuracy of a random sample of several hundred targets selected by the AI system. When that sample found that Lavender's results had reached 90% accuracy in identifying an individual's affiliation with Hamas, the Army authorized the sweeping use of the system. From that moment, sources said that if Lavender decided an individual was a militant in Hamas, they were essentially asked to treat that as an order, with no requirement to independently check why the machine made that choice or to examine the raw intelligence data on which it was based. Quote, "At 5 a.m., the Air Force would come and bomb all the houses that we had marked," unquote, B said. Quote, "We took out thousands of people. We didn't go through them one by one. We put everything into automated systems, and as soon as one of the marked individuals was at home, he immediately became a target. We bombed him and his house," unquote. Quote, "It was very surprising for me that we were asked to bomb a house to kill a ground soldier whose importance in the fighting was so low," unquote, said one source about the use of AI to mark alleged low-ranking militants. Quote, "I nicknamed those targets garbage targets. Still, I found them more ethical than the targets that we bomb just for deterrence, high-rises that are evacuated and toppled just to cause destruction," unquote. The deadly results of this loosening of restrictions in the early stage of the war were staggering. According to data from the Palestinian Health Ministry in Gaza, on which the Israel Army has relied almost exclusively since the beginning of the war, Israel killed some 15,000 Palestinians, almost half of the death toll so far, in the first 6 weeks of the war, up until a week-long ceasefire was agreed on in November 24. The Lavender software analyzes information collected on most of the 2.3 million residents of the Gaza Strip through a system of mass surveillance, then assesses and ranks the likelihood that each particular person is active in the military wing of Hamas or PIJ, according to sources. The machine gives almost every single person in Gaza a rating from 1 to 100, expressing how likely it is that they are a militant. Lavender learns to identify characteristics of known Hamas and PIJ operatives whose information was fed to the machine as training data, and then to locate these same characteristics, also called features, among the general population. The sources explained. An individual found to have several different incriminating features will reach a high rating and thus automatically become a potential target for assassination. In the Human Machine Team, the book referenced at the beginning of this article, the current commander of Unit 8200 advocates for such a system without referencing Lavender by name. The commander himself also isn't named, but 5 sources in 8200 confirmed that the commander is the author, as reported also by Haaretz, describing human personnel as a quote-unquote bottleneck that limits the Army's capacity during a military operation. The commander laments, quote, "We humans cannot process so much information. It doesn't matter how many people you have tasked to produce targets during the war. You still cannot produce enough targets per day," unquote. The solution is to this problem, he says, is artificial intelligence. The book offers a short guide to building a quote-unquote target machine similar in description to Lavender, based on AI and machine learning algorithms. Included in this guide are several examples of the hundreds of thousands of features that can increase an individual's rating, such as being in a WhatsApp group with a known militant, changing cell phone every few months, and changing addresses frequently. Quote, "The more information and the more variety, the better," unquote, the commander writes. Quote, "Visual information, cellular information, social media connections, battlefield information, phone contacts, photos," unquote. While humans select these features at first, the commander continues, over time the machine will come to identify features on its own. This, he says, can enable militaries to create tens of thousands of targets, while the actual decision as to whether or not to attack them will remain a human one. So yeah, and of course this goes on here, but you know, if you want to read the rest of this, you know, like I said, go to plus972magazine.com or 972mag.com and look up Lavender, the AI machine directing Israel's bombing spree in Gaza. Very troubling. Very troubling what they're using. It also puts into light the fact that, you know, Israel is not this weak country that people, or at least like the protesters, were out there, you know, pounding the pavement over, okay? They are quite capable of defending themselves without much help from the United States. The fact that, you know, one shipment of bombs was not allowed to leave here to go there by the president this week is like saying, well, you got enough weapons over there already, you don't need any more. And it's true, they do. They got enough. They have a stockpile of weapons, you know, that would rival ours. And now they got the computer technology to back this up, you know. I mean, we'll put aside for a minute the, you know, the idea of, you know, these people wanting to kill as many as they can to get all the bad apples out of the barrel, okay? To say, well, if we kill 10 innocent people around that one individual, that's acceptable. Or if we kill 100 people around, you know, a handful of targets, that's acceptable. That kind of thinking, people, is like machine thinking. I mean, you're talking numbers. These are just numbers on a piece of paper. You don't see the faces, okay? You don't see the children. And by using this AI system to select targets for them, they're not really encouraged to, you know, check the data that it's drawing from, okay, to double check, because that would negate the whole reason why they made this AI, the Lavender system, if you will, okay? That would negate the whole reason why they built it, was because they don't want it to waste time doing checks on this one and that one and who they've been talking to or texting or whatever. Okay, they want the computer to do all that for them, and they're trusting that the computer is going to give them good information. Well, they're not really going to know that, right? Because once you press the button and launch your rocket, and it takes out somebody, who's going to then later say, oh shit, we made a mistake, we shouldn't hit them. Nobody's going to bother to do a double check, or even a check after they get what the AI is telling them to hit. Nobody's checking that out, because again, that would slow down the system. So what you got is Israel is rush, hurry up, let's kill people. We don't care how many people get killed along with them. Well, that's a very callous way of doing this, okay? I mean, sure, war is messy, and even without the AI system, innocent people would still get killed. But what they're doing is they're putting all this burden on the machine. And like I said, you know, anything man builds is inherently flawed. There's going to be things that's going to do wrong. But I think, in a way, this gives plausible deniability on the fact of Israel to say, yes, we some people we found out did die who didn't deserve to die, but that was the fault of the machine. That's not our fault. Okay, who's gonna punish the machine? Okay, so I mean they can go when they're guilty of war crimes, okay, which they're gonna be. Okay, they can turn around and argue the case like, well, we depended on lavender for our information, and we acted on it. Okay, thinking that that's going to absolve Israel of anything they did wrong. Okay. You know, that's like, you know, redefining physics. You know, we're not going to break the laws of physics. We're just going to bend them. You know, we're not going to break the laws of international laws. We're going to bend them. So that way we don't have to suffer the consequences. We'll just blame it all on the machine that we created, that it screwed us over. I mean, I think that's what really this is about. And the fact that the way they're interviewing some of these people who created this thing or whatever, making it sound like, oh, well, 10 people. I mean, 90% success rate is good. So what if 10%, are just innocent bystanders that get killed? I mean, that's acceptable losses, in any war. And I'm thinking, well, when we start thinking like that, well, we're walking on a slippery slope, And of course, if Israel has something like this, I would suspect the United States also has the same thing too, okay? I'm not going to just say Israel's the only country. If they got it, we have something that's called different, I don't know. But, we got a big information gathering, we got the NSA, the CIA, the FBI. We got all these institutions here in America for our protection. And when it comes to war, they're put on overdrive, and but when we're not at war, they're busy collecting data, okay? Looking for targets in case one day we need to assassinate them. That's what they're doing. So Israel does this too, Of course, a lot of people don't know about it because a lot of Americans they just think that Israel has nothing to defend itself with, which is not true at all. They got a huge industry in their country that creates weapons and stuff like that, and actually they even send weapons out to other places. They have so many they can actually sell some of their weapons. We send them certain things, okay, bombs and stuff like that, but they got a stockpile, that we could stop sending them stuff for a long time and they'd still have plenty of weapons to use for them, as they got, for to fight this war. So they don't need really our help, okay? But we help them in other ways too, and I think a lot of people here just need to be, enlightened more as to how Israel can defend itself, how it's not such a weak country anymore, really. They have allies, they got their own weapons plants, they got, people giving them bigger weapons when they need them or want them. They got all kinds of stuff. And now they have computers, AI, helping them defend their country and stuff or fight wars. And, obviously the point of this article that I read to you about that is like, they're putting their faith in this machine to help them kill people quicker. Okay, but they're not really checking about who they're hitting or making sure that the information that's being spit to them is actually reliable. Okay, I mean, half the time we can't even always get our information about. I mean, look how long it took us to hunt down Osama bin Laden. It wasn't so easy, to keep track of him or to find him wherever the hell he was. So when people are always moving all the time and stuff, I mean, that's constantly putting problems for the AI to adjust to, and it's easy. I would see that it would be easy for even an AI system to make a mistake here and there, but of course, like I said, they don't care, so what if we kill 10 with, we try to kill 10, one person and we take 10 out instead, they don't seem to care. And I feel like this kind of reinforces the idea that, you know, this fight going on over there has no good guys here, because both sides look at the other the same way. You know, they've devalued each other so much that they're just paper figures now, you know, little paper cutouts. Remember when you had paper dolls? They look at each other as paper dolls over there now. And to kill one of them, you know, for one to kill the other or vice versa is like, you know, setting one on fire and watching it burn. They don't care. You know, they've, like I said, they've dehumanized so much over the generations that it's laughable. I mean, not laughable. I'm sorry to say that, not laugh, but it's ridiculous. Okay, black people in this country have more value than the Israels have with the Palestinians, or the other way around. I feel like it's silly in a way that people can't see the commonality that both sides are trying to kill the other. I mean, I guess, I don't know if you'd call it genocidal, but what you have is a pattern of, it doesn't matter who they hit. So what if it's kids? So what if it's a hospital? So what if it's a school? Okay, they'll turn around and say, well, there was a tunnel underneath that school that had terrorists under there and stuff. You know, you can say anything to justify slaughter on a scale like that, okay? But at that one point, you say, well, look, there's certain things that we have to follow for rules in war, and we have to follow them. And if a school is in the way of us taking out, then we can't take them out, okay? It's just like in Waco. Look what happened in Waco, Texas, okay? We had people there was armed to the teeth, okay? And they were defying the government. They didn't, like I said, they had these guns. They didn't had them illegally, I guess is what it was. And, you know, the ATF was in there trying to get that settled. And, you know, they were just like, no, I don't want to talk to you. And they'd slam the door, and they had to call in the damn military or whatever. All right. Well, for months that played out, and there was women and children in there, and that kind of kept everybody from actually taking any action, you know, to do anything, until people on the ground started to get, you know, pissed off and, you know, and pressured to do something to end it, because it was creating a national issue here, that they went in there and they just cleaned house, basically, and got a lot of people and kids and stuff like that killed in the process. Well, that you know, it made the situation even worse. Okay, that never worked out, and a lot of heads rolled over that. But that's the same thing here in Israel. I mean, you know, but they don't care. I mean, if Waco happened over there, it wouldn't have mattered to them to wipe out that compound and all the people in it. Just to get David Koresh out of there, it would have been acceptable to slaughter all those people, because that's what they're doing. They show their AI system, I don't care if you've got to kill this many people to get this one guy. It's acceptable. You know, AI is not going to argue with that, so they'll just let it do it, okay? So, you know, it's a dangerous road to go on when you're putting lives in the hands of a machine programmed by people that are flawed. Okay, it's not a perfect system, it's not a perfect solution, it's not a perfect anything. It's just a continuation of the same shit that we've been doing without the machine, only we're doing it with a computer now. Okay, so like I said, you know, they might see that as something, an evolution or something that's more civil, but in reality it isn't. Okay, talk to the people who lost someone from a bomb that, you know, it doesn't discriminate when it explodes. You know, talk to anybody who's watched their husband, daughter, son, wife get cut to pieces, you know, from a bomb that was aimed at one person across the street, and it hit them too. You know, they'll show you how, you know, more humane that is or whatever. It ain't. It's the same old crap. Just a different day. So anyway, yeah, I thought I should read that to you, because I think that was something that nobody even noticed that was written, because it's from an obscure what, 972. I mean, who, you know, not many people will read that, but like I said, I was just looking through AI stuff on there because, you know, they use that in Hollywood, I guess, and, you know, I was just trying to understand more about it, you know, and then that article just kind of come up, you know, and I was like, what's this? So when I read it, I was like, Jesus, I had no idea. So, see, I didn't even know that Israel had anything like that, but you see, they got brains over there to make this shit, just like we got over here to make the same, you know. So anyway, that's it for today. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. Subscribe, comment, and keep your ears open for any health problems that might be lurking out there, and treat each other nice, and you know, try to enjoy the summer, and I'll try to calm down over what I hear from you know, about Trump and his shenanigans. I got to have faith that there's enough people in this country who feel like I do, that Trump does not deserve to be president again. He's already showed us that he can't be trusted as president. He failed us in that one term that he had. He failed us at a critical moment when we needed his help, and he just wasn't there, and over 1 million people died. We have to remember that. Those 1 million people are screaming at us to make sure we don't put him back in office, and we really need to listen to that. All right, so I'll talk to you guys later.